Good morning and welcome to another 30 Minutes with Jan, all the way from Tauranga. And it's really hot down here, so I don't know where you guys are, but yep, weather's always a big portion of what we do per day. So, but this morning it's not about the weather, it's all about immigration, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And good morning, VANITA.
Good morning, Jan. Good morning, everybody, or good evening, everybody. Hope you guys are well.
I think people know if I say immigration, the next word I will say is VANITA.
Look, I'm not the only immigration advisor. There's some really good ones out there. Yeah. So, yeah.
But in all, can I make this comment this morning?
Yeah.
You look much happier than our previous chat.
Yeah, you know what? I had a haircut, which was good.
Oh, wow.
Yes, that was last week. And then I was able to go out to like restaurants and, catch up with friends and stuff, Okay. So it's been good, Jan, like, I mean, for us, Aucklanders, yeah. You may think we're complaining, but really it was hard. It was hard.
I can't believe, especially if you're used to certain things in you've got a routine. I mean, everybody's got a routine. So if you can't carry on with your routine, it's as if your whole world is shaken.
That's right. Yeah. Yes, and this week everything sort of started back as such, and we're shattered. Honestly, we're just like early morning starts and everything else, and we're so tired, Yeah, but anyway, it's good. It's good to actually feel alive and feel like you're doing something and achieving something. So yeah,
that's right.
So
what's happening with immigration? I see some positive and I see some negatives.
Some positive and some negative. Yeah. So the 2021 residence applications opened last week, and as you know, probably like 20 minutes into the system opening, it crashed. It crashed badly. I mean, like literally, you couldn't get in. If you got in, it took you like, I mean, the refresh rate was like 29 minutes per page. Yeah. It was crazy if you were lucky to get in, and I got in like on the second day, but then it crashed again. So look, I mean, I know a lot of people, and I think immigration have sort of given us the impression that these applications will be processed very quickly.
Yeah.
And looking at the first day, I think it was only one person that posted everywhere he got an approval, and there was another advisor who said that one of his clients got an approval in principle.
Yeah.
But we have not seen anything else after that. So it's just really, I mean, look, a lot of mine case officers have not been assigned. It's in the queue. I know some of my colleagues have some case officers assigned, but there's, they're asking for more information and so on. I'm not too sure why, because they indicate to all of us that it's going to be very straightforward, like there's very, there's certain criteria you need to meet. And it seems like they're actually, I don't know, it seems like a mess, to be honest, Jan.
That's right.
Yeah, so look, I think people were hoping for good news before Christmas. I don't know. And I think I may have got some of my clients' hopes up. I'm sorry, we were trying our best, okay? So that's where that is. What have you heard anything, Jan, with regards to that?
I've heard a few that, or I saw a few posts of people that said their residence has been approved. But I haven't seen a lot. That's why I'm talking to you this morning. I haven't seen the amounts that I thought was going to flow through. So
yeah, and I think the whole MBI system crashed or something happened. I'll tell you why. Because even through the normal channels, money was taken off from applications, and then on Monday I got a call saying, "Oh, we had a system crash or system error, and we need to reconfirm these details, for payment and so on." And this is through the normal channels for residents. Also, it's weird if you did MIQ and you paid your MIQ bill or that was written off. I got 2 emails from NBIE saying to me, "Here's your invoice." And I thought it was spam, and then I got an email yesterday saying, "Sorry, there was errors in our system. Sorry, we caused any, distress. Please ignore these emails." So I think it's been cuck. Let's just say that. And then yesterday, I think Christopher Luxon, who's a new national leader, mentioned Fafoy looks very tired. So, so Fafoy is probably getting it left, right, and center. And I did see that he's actually been taken to court about certain things where, he's closed offshore processing and so on for somebody where he shouldn't have done that. So there's a court case against him, by the way.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that's another way of getting things done. If immigration doesn't produce the way they should produce, is to take them to court.
Look, to be honest, we're the only country that I know of that have messed up our system so badly by chopping and changing all the rules and so on, and that's the reason why the system's been so bad and residents and processing's taking longer. And I mean, but this happened well before COVID anyway,
That's right.
But there's a lot of changes on the horizon, Jan, and
What is happening? Tell us that.
so, okay, let's talk about next year. And I know there's a lot of confusion about everybody going, yes, the borders are opening in April, end of April, okay? Let me just say this again. The borders are only opening for citizens and residents. We don't even know when split families are going to be reunited because there's been no announcements about that, which is terribly sad because a lot of them are going to be eligible for maybe phase 2 of residence.
Yeah.
And they still, I mean, obviously there's some light for them for residents, but they still split from their families, which is very sad.
What about the announcement by government that ordinary travelers will be allowed in from April, end of April?
Jan, offshore processing is ceased or suspended, the right word is suspended, until the 5th of August 2022. So that means even if you had to apply,
2022, okay.
yes.
So that's another 9 months from now.
Exactly. And the thing is, if you had to apply for a visitor visa, you won't be able to get a process until, the 6th of August, 2022.
Oh, okay.
So I think there's a lot of confusion. People saying, oh, we can start coming from April or May. That's not the case.
Yeah.
It's
I was one of those, to be quite frank.
Yeah, and there's only certain cohorts that can come and do that, And obviously, if MIQ changes with regards to, even New Zealanders having to quarantine, then I suppose you would travel. You would travel to go and see your family. If you didn't have to do MIQ and things.
That's right.
So that's the one major thing I think a lot of people have been confused about. The other thing is, or the changes. I don't know whether you're aware, but the superannuation, or I forget what the whole plan is, for migrants and superannuation, that's changed as such, where that's gone into law now, where it changed from 10 years to 20 years. And that's been no contest from any of the parties when they passed that whole bill and it's gone into policy. So this is my opinion. And if you think about it logically, and again, I stress it's my opinion, we've had the cutoff age of 55 to be able to come in and get residence for any migrant workers. And that's because you are eligible for superannuation or the pension fund if you don't know what the superannuation is, at 65. It's now 20 years. So that means you have to be 45 and in the country to be able to claim that superannuation at 65. So to me, the indication is that the age for immigration may drop to 45, not 55.
Okay.
But again, that's my opinion, and we haven't seen that. That will only happen when we open up the skilled migrant category, which is the points tested category. And then, the ages may change and so on. So just be aware of it, that if you're over this age, think very carefully about, or make sure you have plans in place that if you are starting the process for immigration, what would you do if immigration opens up and says, sorry, we're not taking anybody over 45? And Australia did that. They did that overnight.
No, that's what I wanted to say. That other countries in the world have done that already.
And in fact, all other countries have done that. And we have a very, very old aging population, and which costs the taxpayer a lot of money. So we're sort of saying, we need this in place. So just be prepared for that, okay? Yeah. That may come.
What makes sense in financial sense, it makes financial sense to me. So you want somebody to come in and work for 10 years, contribute to 10 years to IRD or to the tax system, and now sit for the next 30 or perhaps even 40 years, the way that people are living longer these days.
Exactly.
And getting a pension.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Those two doesn't work out together for me.
Yeah. So that's why we're definitely changing that. And so just watch that space with that. Look, the skilled migrant category will reopen around July, where they'll revamp everything. And that's the whole, they're planning to do that. We don't know what that's really going to look like. So the major changes that are coming is from the 9th of May next year, employers will start needing to apply for accreditation, and it will start opening then. By the 4th of July, every employer that's employing migrants, but this is visas that are attached to the employer, so not the open work visas, like, you know, your partner's visas, your student visas, not that. It's like your essential skills work visa, but it's going to be called the accredited employer work visa. By the 4th of July, all employers who are employing migrants must be accredited to employ. Okay. By the 3rd of July, the streamlined essential skills work visa category will close as such, meaning that right now it's streamlined where you don't need to do a character check, you don't need to do medicals if you've provided this. That will all come to an end on the 3rd of July. So that's a time frame. The 9th of May, you can start applying for accreditation. 3rd of July, streamlined essential skills work visa stops, and the 4th of July, accredited employer work visa starts. So that's the time frame for that.
It's all good and well, but it just sounded like it's a bit late. It's still way off.
It sounds late, but there's a lot of work going behind the scenes because, you know, I see a lot of people saying they've got agents involved. You know, this is international, they're offshore. They're starting the process for immigration and so on. That whole landscape is changing in the sense that there's no longer the advertising where if you see an advertisement or an advertisement or whatever, you know, in the channel, you can apply. There are 2 checks before that. Okay, the employer needs to get accredited and they have to pass that. Then they have to pass the job check as well. And that there's a lot of responsibility on employers now. So the migrant check, which is where you're applying for the job, is a very small part of that process now. So you're going to see a lot of changes where it's all driven by the employer now. The employer is responsible for settlement and so on. So you know we've had all these settlement companies and so on saying, okay, this is where you go and get your IRD number. This is where you contact the Citizens Advice Bureau. You know, banking details. The employer is responsible for all of that now. So
it's a good thing. That's a good thing. It makes life easier for people.
It does, and I think people need to sort of probably change their mindset going, it's no longer what we thought it was, it's now this. So you'll probably
But the smaller employers are going to struggle here because now you have to employ a second person just to do this.
Yes, that's a lot of, I mean, obviously the small businesses and maybe the small to medium businesses are going to struggle because they need to have HR policies and processes in place to monitor this. Also, like with recruitment companies, they have a whole lot of other things to meet as well. You know, so there's a lot of things that different people or categories of people need to meet to get migrants into jobs. Now, just with regards to the pathway to residence, and I think a lot of people may be sort of wondering what's that pathway going to look like. At the moment, we can only see 2 pathways. One is the accredited employer work visa, where you have to be earning 200% of the median wage to be able to get residence, okay? And that's about $113,000 based on $27.
$13,000.
Yes, 113, close to 113.
All right.
Median wage goes up in January of every year. So right now it's sitting at $27, so that may go up again in January of next year. So that, So residence pathway right now is 200% of the median wage, and you have to be with an accredited employer for 2 years. It's very similar to the work to residence.
Okay.
Right. The next one we don't.
I want to chip in there. So once you've reached the 2-year stage, what do you get? Residence or permanent residence?
We don't know. That's not been defined as yet. We don't know, but we know that's one pathway is 200%, and then after 2 years of working with the employer, you'll be able to apply for residence. Okay. The other one will be points tested under the skilled migrant category, but we don't know what those points are going to look like. We don't know the criteria that needs to be met on that. So that's really something that needs to be, and it will be announced in July or so, maybe June or July of next year is when we'll know. So that's where we'll know how you sort of work with a client to go, okay, this is your pathway, this is definitely how you can come in and so on. Right now it's like stabbing in the dark. You really don't know what that's going to look like.
Right.
Yeah. So
do you think this is deliberately made more difficult or not?
absolutely. I wouldn't say deliberately, but every country does say citizens first. And with this accredited employee work visa, you have to show that you've made genuine attempts to employ New Zealanders. Now, previously or in the current setting, you could say that, look, I've advertised a job, I couldn't find anybody. I contacted a local person or a New Zealander twice through the phone, or they failed a certain test and so on. It's no longer like that. It's very defined as to how you can, or it's very defined as to when you can say no to a New Zealander or resident visa holder. Right. So
just my thoughts on this. If you have an easy job, let's call it easy job, somebody that sweeps floors, it's not as difficult. There's the broom, there you go. Anybody can basically do that. But if you've got a more higher qualified person that you need, like a mechanic or plumber or one of these guys that has got a few years of training, because I've been seeing in the market, these are jobs that are now or that's open. About every company that I know of needs one or two or even more of these people.
Yes.
I'm not even talking about doctors. I'm not talking about all the higher graduate people. I'm just talking about plumbers, these type of guys. You can't train a plumber in 6 weeks or a month or whatever.
I agree with you, and this is where like the mid-skilled is the ones that's going to be an interesting side to it, and to actually look at it and see how they'll be granted residence. So definitely, the labor market is very tight right now, Jan, because nobody's coming in. They're making do with the people that are here. That's why they're trying to give them residence. But again, not everybody's eligible for residence and so on. Okay, so that's one thing. With employers, they have to show that they are making genuine attempts to train New Zealanders. So these are the people that have to go into like if it's a mechanic, they have to go to MITO, to, like the training programs and get apprentices in. Even with the plumbing stuff, they've got to get they have to have apprenticeship programs saying, okay, we're bringing in X amount of apprentices to train under our already qualified, experienced plumbers, okay? And if there's still an opening for those people, that need to be brought in from offshore because the labor market's so tight, then they have to show how and why they can't employ New Zealanders for that role, So they're going to be under massive scrutiny, with the accreditation and so on. And, they've got to keep the accreditation going. They can't just hire people and go, okay, I'm not going to keep them on, or I'm just going to exploit them. They can't do all that. That's like, they're under big scrutiny on that. And,
we're probably going to take all these guys that were just exploiting people, will probably take them out of the market as well.
Absolutely. They've got stand-down periods. They've got stand-down periods because if you're not a compliant employer, you've got a stand-down period. So like immigration are doing massive checks on the employers to make sure that they are legitimate employers. They're not even Phoenix companies where they mess up here and then they open up another company, operating in the same way, but trying to get, trying to sort of go through the system or work the system, that's not going to happen. So accreditation, there's going to be two lots of accreditation, the standard and the high volume accreditation. Obviously, the high volume accreditation is going to be more than 6 migrants at a time. The bigger corporates are going to go for the high volume accreditation. That's fine. As a small to medium businesses, and I suppose it's a niche companies where you can't find the skills in New Zealand. They would really have to, they'd really have to have apprenticeship programs or internships, for the highly skilled, while they're bringing in skilled people to train up these people into jobs and so on. Yeah. So
what about the guys that have the need for only one person? Because that is also something that's currently not addressed, because they only need one, let's say one mechanic. Let's go back to the mechanic side. They need one mechanic. Yes, there is an apprenticeship somewhere out there. They can't afford to have their own apprentices. And you can't afford to have a non-mechanic or a new guy working on somebody's cars. That could be very dangerous. So
Yeah. So again, if they just need one person, they would have to go through accreditation to get that one person.
So it's the
There's
same
no
for
way out of
everybody.
it. It's the same for everybody. So whether you need 1 to 5, that's the standard accreditation, or whether you need 6 or more, you have to get accredited. You know, the labor market as well, like the labor market testing, you will see that changing because salaries or the hourly rate is going to be put in there. The skills are going to be mentioned in there. The qualifications are going to be mentioned in there. So you'll see a lot of the advertising changing, because people are going to now go, okay, so New Zealanders are going to know how much that job's actually paying. That's one thing. If they can't find New Zealanders, you know, the offshore market's going to know, okay, that's exactly what I'm going to be paying, and they have to meet all the criteria of that.
That's
you know,
right.
Yeah. So you can't just say, no, I'm sorry, I'm not hiring a New Zealander because of, you know, they lack this one small skill. It's not. It's going to be very, very stringent on that.
I've got a question on that. From a financial perspective, if you need to earn twice the minimum wage, won't that push up the prices that people are going to ask for their labor?
Look,
I won't come. Let's face it the other way around. I won't come to New Zealand if I can't get residence.
Yes, yes, you will. So the thing is, though, you will know exactly how much that job's going to pay. Okay. We'll know the pathways, especially under that points tested system. We'll know what that pathway is going to look like. Okay. If that path, if it's not going to be what, you know, giving you residence, then obviously you're not going to take that job, right?
That's right.
For the people that are happy with the salary, you would know exactly what it's going to be paying. You know,
That's
whether
right.
you're
The problem is, let's say I'm go back to mechanics. A mechanic earning, let's say $70,000. I can't think of any company that's going to pop them up from $70,000 to about very near to $100,000 to $14,000.
That's right. And that's why that points tested pathway is going to be the one for them. It's not going to be the 200% of median wage. And again, we don't know what that's defined at. We don't know what it's going to look like. You know, the age, the skills, all those things, we don't know how those points are going to be. Also,
the alternative could be that they could get residence even if they do not earn that high amount of money.
Exactly. Yes, there's going to be 2 pathways. It's a 200%, and then it's going to be the points tested, but we don't know what that would really look like. And that's why I say if you're over 45, just beware, you know, of when you're starting the journey. Do you have any questions, Jan?
I've got questions. That's what I want to ask you. Are we going to take some questions?
Yeah.
From the one side that I can't put on the screen, Mariska Oosthuizen is asking, what about studying in NZ and the application for PR after that?
Right. So it's interesting. One of my clients actually called me up 2 days ago and said to me, so his son is an international student right now. They're waiting for residence. And he called me up and said to me, next year, that institute has said they are not taking any international students. So I actually don't know when the international student market is going to open for anybody coming from offshore. And he's onshore, by the way. And they said they're not taking any international students. So we have to find a solution for that.
Elanka Walter's asking, in your opinion, I have been applying for teaching vacancies non-stop. I keep getting rejected because I'm offshore. I had a few interviews, but they struggle to get me in. Should I stop applying at the moment?
Look, there was a so-called shortage of teachers. I mean, and you saw that we were bringing in about 300 teachers and so on. And then with the whole vaccine mandate, I think you would have seen a lot of teachers would have left. And I think it was on the news just the other day where they said principals and teachers are really tired. There's been so much required. A lot of them are leaving the job and so on. So I really don't know when that's going to open up for teachers to come in. I don't know.
I mean, the shortage that there was looked like it was full, but I think it's back, or even probably bigger.
And that's the thing, and we don't know what sectors are going to really be struggling and are going to bring in cohorts of people. And then there's obviously sectors that are going to be just carrying on until we open up properly, you know, as such. So I don't know.
All right, let me pop this. If it was easier for the employer, the employer will take on immigrants easier. Does it really make life easier for people? But rather for applicants. Doesn't really make life easier. Yeah, I fully agree. It doesn't really make life easier for people to apply.
Yeah.
And then, hi guys, I'm sorry I missed it. Is there any news ways of bringing in parents on the visas yet?
No. I'm sorry. The parent category is still closed. Yesterday, it was announced that immigration are going to start processing offshore residence visas, and that's about 3,000 or so. But again, nothing about the parent category or parents coming in.
And that's been closed for a while. No, I
Since
doubt it will open with all this chaos going on now. So.
Yes.
It's a sad situation, but
it is, and those parents are getting older and so on, and I just really don't know when they'll be able to, come in and so on. So yeah, don't know.
So by the way, did they find out why the system crashed?
I don't know. I don't know. They obviously didn't test it very well, did they?
They reorganize everything, and they can't keep it up for 20 minutes. It's just
No, and the thing is, it crashed for everybody. So if you were trying to do a work visa or visitor visa or to stay lawful, you couldn't do that, and that's why they really worked hard. They gave us an alternate form to fill out, and then let me tell you, some advisor, and that alternate form was only for advisors. Some lawyer leaked the link. So immigration, in all their wisdom, decided to make that alternate form public. Okay, so look, I'll tell you what. The industry was furious because that form was only for us. That form was fraught with errors, okay? Lots of errors, and you cannot save that application. So once it's gone, it's gone. So you got to remember exactly what you put in, what you've done, and so on. So, I mean, look, people may have used that alternate form, but it was a real issue. Also, with the Real Me application as well as the alternate form, there are issues as well. Where, for instance, while we lodged it, put our details in there, we are not even getting notification saying it's lodged. There's communication or anything. There's errors on both systems. So,
but I see a lot of people complained about Real Me as well, and not even based on the immigration side of it, because we had to do something else. I could log through. I don't know. I was just lucky probably, but a lot of the other advisors or the financial advisors they complained that they can't log into Real Me for one or other reason.
Yeah, I think it just crashed, unfortunately. So yeah, okay. Is there any other questions or anything that's come
I don't have. Interesting. That's Lauren Limeke. I may have missed the visitors visas. That's not going to happen very soon. So.
No, until they announce offshore processing, then that's when you can actually, especially for South Africans, because you've got to apply for a visitor visa. With the visa waive countries, I don't know how they're going to treat that. Maybe they'll start allowing people in. I don't know. Yeah. So
very soon the Aussies are allowed in.
I don't know, because now they've got Omicron, and I don't know when they'll open up the border. So I really don't know.
I actually wish I had a crystal ball to see where Omicron will go.
Yes.
It could be that it's the savior, or it could be that it's worse. So we've got about another week to see where this goes, because, I mean, this can still end up badly. I know so far it doesn't look too bad, but it could still turn out to be a very bad virus. That will another week from now, we'll know where we are. So
Yes. So look, there's a lot of changes coming through. My thing to offshore applicants, those people that are wanting to immigrate, please be aware that there's a lot of changes. It's not going to be the same of what you thought or know the system to be. So just make sure you make the right decisions for yourself and your family when you do that. And a lot of us don't know what the pathways are really going to look like for residents. And I'm sure a lot of people are wanting to know what that is. You don't want to leave just because, you want to come offshore and work and then go back. And
something else we've quickly touched on before we went live is the fact that some people has the passports must be renewed. Guys, this takes extremely long. In South Africa, it takes extremely long, and it's because I think they want to work very slow. So sorry for me being critical about that, but yeah.
So just on that, Jan, a lot of people, South Africans, obviously have their passports either expiring or expired, and they can't get appointments with High Commission in Wellington. And those appointments are taken between 4 to 6 months. Now, look, I called immigration yesterday because I have a client in the same situation who's going to apply for residence in phase 2. And immigration are of the opinion that, well, I'm sorry, he won't be able, or they won't be able to apply or include that person with an expired passport, and they will need to find the alternate way of applying rather than using the 2021 resident visa. So while immigration sort of went, oh, we want to give everybody residence, their tone is not that. They're sort of almost going, well, too bad, look at another way. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. And sadly, that is, they can do that, and I do understand why they do that. I mean,
look, there are ways and means about getting around that. So sometimes it's just one person in that family. So speak to somebody if you are in that situation, as to how you can actually get around it and still be residents for the rest of the family, and have this person come in at a later stage.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Our time has come and gone.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, and I've just got to say thanks for bearing with us in 2021. I know it's been very stressful for you.
I think it's been stressful for everybody, Jan.
Yeah, and you've been doing absolutely wonderful work out there. I get the feedback I get from people because I do ask people. And I get good feedback on you. And thanks for every time that you're willing to speak to us about these issues that we have with immigration.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. And look, to everybody out there, I wish you a wonderful Christmas and New Year. There are still people that are split from their families and so on. So it's not that great. It's another year of not having that time with family and lost time with family. So, I feel for you, but, stay strong, and do what's best for you as a family unit. Yeah. Okay.
All right. I see there's one question that came in. Would you please perhaps just have a look at that on my personal page?
Okay, sure.
Let's give some
no problem.
All right.
Okay.
Vanita, thanks a lot. I'll just pop you out and say goodbye, and then we'll chat a bit further. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. As that was Vanita, once again, lovely speaking to her and getting some feedback on the broken system. Look like it's have been repaired a bit. I hope it's been repaired totally and not just patched up. So, all right, guys, next time, this weekend, we're going out on Expedition Aotearoa to 42 Traverse. So the guys going with us, we're actually looking forward to seeing you all down there. And then same thing, next week, same time, same place. See you all. Goodbye.